ocean of faults. But there is a benediction. And this one benediction makes the age of Kali the most worshipable of all times. How is that? Srila Prabhupada explains, Satya Yuga is a time when 100% of the people are following genuine religious principles. And as Satya Yuga progresses, it slightly declines. And by the time Treta Yuga comes, 3/4 of the population are sincerely turning to God and living by Krishna's directions for a happy, prosperous life in this world and beyond, spiritual liberation. And by the end of the Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, where about half the people are following. That gradually declines, and in Kali Yuga, hardly 1/4 of the people are following any real spiritual principles. And by the end of Kali Yuga, practically no one. And the condition of the environment, the world around us, is very much connected to how people are living pious, spiritual-based lives. We read in Satya Yuga how the weather, the duration of life, every situation, prosperity, there was no poverty in Satya Yuga because there was no greed. And Mother Earth was providing everything with abundance because there was yajna. There was reciprocation with Mother Earth. And Srila Prabhupada points out we're only 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, and look what's happening. Slaughterhouses, abortions, crime, prostitution, divorce, plundering the earth, so much pollution in the rivers, in the oceans, in the air, dangerous pollution, thousands of times beyond what's safe for a human being. Most of the rivers in India are that polluted. And wars and karmic reactions of earthquakes, floods and droughts, and we're only 5,000 years out of over 400, and there's 432,000 more. Hare Krishna. So why Bhagavatam tells us that the great sages worship Kali Yuga is the best of ages? When even in the beginning stages, things are so chaotic, so much depression, so much anxiety, so much fear. People accumulating these massive bombs and terrorists. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when this accelerates another 400,000 years? Would you like to be here? Despite all faults, anyone who sincerely takes shelter of the name of the Lord, Krishna, can attain the supreme perfection of liberation. And even the problems of Kali Yuga are favorable. Because as we see all these things happening, if we have some good intelligence, we're not just going to chant as a ritual, as a pious religious activity. We're going to see the necessity. We're going to feel a certain type of desperation not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones and for the world around us. When devotees, even if we're having a happy and nice life, when we see all the conflict and war and suffering of so many people in so many parts of the world, we feel a need, a desperation to help them. And devotees come together, like we are today. And we want to not only get shelter ourselves and give shelter to all of our brothers and sisters among the devotee community, but we want to help give shelter to the whole world. We see the suffering, and therefore, when we perform kirtan, it's not just to have some fun. That's there. You'll have fun. But even if you don't, we're crying out the holy names together to help each other and to help the world, to invoke the mercy of God, of Krishna. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to raise our arms very high. It says when you raise your arms high like this, then the potency of the holy names is, you are spreading it throughout the entire universe. It's like you put up your antennas. And it's not just your arms that are the antennas, it's your intent. You raise your arms with the intent of spreading the glories of the holy name throughout the entire universe, spreading the blessings of God to the suffering souls everywhere. In this way, Mahaprabhu taught, we raise our arms, taking shelter and giving shelter. And loudly crying out, like someone with great hunger crying for food, like a baby crying for its mother, like a little bird crying for its mother bird, all alone in the nest. The age of Kali not only gives the highest benediction that Krishna comes in his name so accessible, but also gives us an environment where we could really take shelter. This is how we chant the holy name. That was very nice. Srila Prabhupada ends his purport by saying that Lord Hari is so kind and merciful to human society that he is always anxious to take the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. And see all the different layers of mercy that Krishna bestows upon human society in all different countries and all different races and all different times and all different ways, just to try to elevate us. Just to try to eventually bring us all back home, back to Godhead. Never interfering with our free will. Some people say, if God is the supreme controller, why does he make this material world with so many problems and pains? Krishna created the material world in such a way in Satya Yuga it wasn't like this because we were good. But in this Kali Yuga, we create the problems and pains. But Krishna's so good, no matter what, no matter when, he's always coming and sending his servants to call us back. Always anxious for us to find the real happiness that is our inherited right. And as Krishna's devotees, we not only want to 100% accept this mercy by our humble surrender, but we want to share it with everyone by loudly, together, chanting the holy name.